There are 5 things people with charisma say totally differently than anybody else. As a matter of fact, they have some things they say that others will never say. The normal person, the average person, they have a different type of focus on conversation than most people do. And this is one of the reasons why that I wanted to do this today, because I wanted to show you and give you 5 different things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different things that people with charisma say that most others don't. One of the PowerPoints, if you will, and not the presentation, but one of the points of power, let's say, that you have to have is you have to be able to talk with people to get their attention. You have to be able to talk with people to make them feel really good about themselves. That's what charismatic people do. But you need to say something different, not the same old, same old, same old. And I'm going to give you 5 different things you can say real quick that'll set you apart, because these are things I've been saying, I've taught, and they really do work extremely well. One of the things I love to ask is, tell me something you wish people noticed about you. I was talking with this one young lady during a conference, and she and I were talking. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Tell me one thing that you wish people would notice about you. Let's focus on that. And she said, well, I'd like this. And I said, okay, well, how can we move forward and get people to notice more about you? And we put a little plan together, because it was very, very good thing for people to notice about her, because it would give her more authority. And we developed a little plan, and we thought about some words and how to hold conversations, and also how to look a little bit differently and suddenly she felt like, wow, this is what I've been needing. Tell me something you wish people would notice about you. This gets rid of small talk. Small talk's great in networking for maybe 30 seconds, but man, get to the meat, get to where you want it to go, because small talk is polite conversation. But when you start really asking them about themselves, that hidden self that they have, man, I'm telling you what, they will forever remember you. And remember, when I asked her, I said, tell me something honestly you wish more people would notice about you, her eyes lit up. And she goes, oh my gosh. She said, the one thing I wish people would notice more about me is the fact that I can be a leader. Sometimes, though, I just don't come across like that. That is what people are looking for. How do I become a better leader? How do I become a better conversationalist? How can I become have better presence? Or how can I become a better prospector or a better presenter? This is why that when people say, I wish people would notice this about me, you need to say, okay, let's fix that. Number 2, can I push on that a little, what you just said? Because I think there's really more here than what you're saying. There's more power here. There's more value here. There's more unction, if you will, here. Can I push on what you just said? Or can I really focus in on what you just said? I think there's a whole lot more that can be said about that. There's a lot of different things and different ways you can say that, but I used to say that all the time. Can I push on that a little? Because I believe there's so much more power with what you just said. I'd love to hear it. And what that does, you're not just agreeing, you're challenging them in a way that is gentle. You're challenging them in a way that will help release maybe that insecurity a little bit more. And you're getting them to step into that place. Did you get that? You're getting them to step into that version of themselves that they wish that they've always could be. Can I push on that a little? Can I challenge you? I love saying that. Can I challenge you just a little bit? And another way I say is this. Hey, you want to have some fun? Well, yeah. Well, I think there's more power in what you said. There's more to it. Let's talk about that. One of the things I love to do. Hey, want to have some fun? That's one of the greatest gentle, challenging phrases that you could ever say. So tell me something you wish that people noticed about you. Number 2, can I push on that a little bit? Or you want to have some fun? Excuse me. What would make this year feel legendary for you? Number 3. There's many different ways you can say that. What would make this year the greatest year of your life? What would make this year the year that would change everything? What would make this year your year that you suddenly started becoming and walking that legend path? That's the type of stuff that you're pouring into people, saying that I see this in you. Did you get that? I see that you're a legend. I see that you're a rock star. I see that you're a superstar. Is this? I used to say this all the time to our distributors that was in our organization. I'd say, hey, This is your superstar year. You are going to watch yourself literally transform into a superstar. And this is why that people kind of like, what? Say, you good? Then hand them a bigger canvas. What do you mean? What would make this year be your absolutely greatest year? Are you good for that? You want to talk about it? Yeah. And people light up when someone invites them to think in legendary terms. Think about that. I wrote a book, by the way, called Legend, and we're getting ready to release it here in the coming weeks. And anytime that you bring some kind of legend or anything else to the table, it makes people feel like, wow, I could be a legend. What would make you feel like this would be your legendary year, the best year you've ever had? What would it make it feel like? Call it your superstar year. I've asked this question thousands of times, and it really does pull people in. Another thing, number 4, is I love how your face changes when you say that. This is one of those things that I learned from my mentor. I love how your face changes. You just light up when you start talking about that. And this is why that this is one of the most powerful things you can say, because now you're noticing what most people miss. Did you get that? Now you're noticing what most people miss. You're just not complimenting them, but you're showing them, hey, I noticed and I love how that looks. Recently, I was in a conversation and somebody started talking about something, and I said, you know something, you ought to see the look on your face, the expression, because when you start talking about that, you just come alive. That's what I'm talking about. And she was like, well, thank you. Why can't you say that? Why can't you do that? So number 1, tell me something that you wish people would notice about you. Or you want to have some fun? I know there's more power in what you just said. What would make this year, honestly, feel legendary for you? Or what would make this year the greatest year you've ever had and everything changes? Or I love how your face lights up when you talk about that. And then the final one, I call it off limits. If nothing were off limits, everything was possible, what is the one thing that you would immediately start doing? If nothing was impossible, everything, there were no limits, nothing at all, what is that one thing you would do immediately? And they start thinking about it, and they say, well, probably this. My exact response to that, well, why don't we sit down and figure out how that we can make that happen? See, this is why that when you talk to people, your goal is to build them, to challenge them, to lift them. Did you get that? Build them, challenge them, and lift them to the point of where they see themselves differently when you walk away. And I've said this thousands of times. The secret to charisma is simple. A person must feel better about themselves walking away from you than when they did walking up to you. And if you remember that, charisma can be one of the most powerful tools you have and one of the most powerful presence that you could ever dream you could have. Guys, we're doing something special here. Lock this in. Lock this video channel down, because hundreds of videos are coming on the number 1 tool I believe that you have to have in order to build a business, massive wealth, succeed, or do anything in life. And it's called charisma. And there's leadership charisma, there's sales charisma, there's lots of different types of charisma, and we're going to go through a lot of different ones, but my goal is to get you to be the most captivating person in the room. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Get your fire journal, take notes, you're going to need it. Spread the fire.